Hi everyone, I bring greetings from Agra and lots of love. Heartiest congratulations, Sunita ma'am, and have a great and wonderful tenure. So, I'm in a soup today and I've been asked one of the most difficult questions of my life. It's really a tough one. When I say that it's never been easy for a woman to juggle a thriving career, a happy family life, yes, it's not. It still isn't because being a full time working mother comes with bouts of stress and guilt, and for not being able to give equal time to work and family. This being said, it is the 21st century, and women from all walks of life are choosing to have it all: a blissful family, a rewarding career, and some solitude to find some time for themselves. To do two things at once is to do neither, is what was said. But is it actually true? When I was told about how do I do it all, or is it harder for women? How to strike a balance between your personal and professional life? Well, it's not an easy job. It's really important to set up priorities. Becoming a mother is a blessing which is bestowed only on women. But with this motherhood also comes a lot of responsibilities. So, as I always say, there are always two sides of that coin. Should you really multitask, or do we all as women need to multitask? Believe me when I say women aren't better at multitasking than men. They are simply forced to do more or maybe expected to do more. None of us are good at multitasking. What is this multitasking and why has it become this buzzword? Well, multitasking is the act of performing several independent tasks within a short period of time. It actually requires rapidly, frequently switching attention from one task to another and increasing the cognitive demand compared to completing one single task in that sequence. So, who's really good at multitasking? Young people, women, mothers, you, or me? None of us. Studies show that neither gender is really good at multitasking. The Gen X, Gen Y, millennials perform multitasking usually more than the previous generations, but they are no better. It's so important for us as women or even as doctors to have that balance, because once you understand that balance, then your main goal comes only towards happiness. And that's what is when you say, my life was well lived. Women previously traditionally used to do cooking, cleaning, and raising children, and they were actually looked upon as caregivers or maybe homekeepers. Women now have made their mark in every field, be it literature, politics, sports, corporate. We, as women, are ready to take up any challenge possible. When we talk about housework or when we talk about being a breadwinner, most of the studies now say women do more housework regardless of who the breadwinner is. Even if woman is working, even if the woman has children or do not have children, housework is still being done mostly by women. So, with women, with working women, we have to now look towards a work life balance. And this work life balance is what we all need to understand. This is a phenomena that occurs to all of us who are actually employed or working and also want to manage our personal lives perfectly. So, what is this? So, work life balance is like a daily achievement and enjoyment in all spheres of our life. So, when I say about work life balance, I also mean that you enjoy or love your work. You also give some amount of time to your family and friends, and some amount of time to your health and spirit. And that's how a work life balance occurs from day to day. And that's how we all do it. So Abraham Lincoln once said, and in the end, it's not the years in your life that count, but it's the life in your years. And as I say, it's not the life in your days, it's the life in each day which count. We always think, all of us, that the grass is greener on the other side. But the lucky ones do not have the best of all. They actually make the best of everything. So what I'm here trying to say is work, which is really an important part of our life, like ambition, acquisition, achievements. We know we want it all. Easier said than done. There is also another important part of life attached to it. So it's not just our work, but it's that life in it which acts as a stress releasing agent. So we actually have to now understand that we as doctors have to give a balanced life to all of us. Previously, as doctors, when once a doctor was considered, it was like 24/7 and you would not want to do anything else. And that has now, come up to a lack of a lot of dissatisfaction. Our average life as doctors have decreased to almost 10 years less. We are one of the most depressed population on this earth. 8.6% higher risk of exhaustion and 10% higher risk of burnout. So when we talk about this, do we say, is it really worth doing all this? It's now time to understand that our job satisfaction is not just work, but an overall balance. So I read this article while preparing this presentation, and you know what it said? It said that job satisfaction amongst doctors in India, can you imagine, only 69% in AIIMS are satisfied, in armed forces less than 40%, and private doctors even lesser. So how are we all doing it now, and how should we actually do it? We now actually have to manage that burnout which is happening. We have to manage our family and our work, and we also should actually have some amount of retirement plans. As a doctor, our stages of career are very, very different from our counterparts. If you have seen, we all started from that same schooling with our friends, but most of our friends achieved success very early, and some of us kept studying. So from a medical student to a resident to becoming a junior doctor, and then to becoming a senior doctor, and then slowly it became boredom. And that's where that burnout came, because we had loss of physical, emotional, and mental energy. So when we talk about the human function curve, we have to understand there is a balance towards health, our comfort, and fatigue. And we as doctors actually also have to understand that our health should come first before giving health and happiness to others. So when we say burnout, what is this burnout? Burnouts are symptoms which are seen when you're not satisfied or happy in doing what you want. They can be behavioral, like angry, depressed, having poor concentration, chronically late, physiologically absent, avoiding work, tiredness, lethargy, and whatnot. Once you start feeling some amount of these symptoms in your life, it's time to say, learn to take care of yourself. Learn to say no to things you can't do. It's so important for us to have a fulfilling life outside that clinic. So let's develop some hobby and some activity. And let's learn to cut that routine work, develop strong support system. Time is such an important thing and the most precious thing we have. Ultimately, it's our most valuable resource. And this time will never come back. So that I'm very busy, has to go off. We don't have to be busy, but we have to be productive. And there's a huge difference between us. So effectiveness, doing things right; efficiency, doing the right things currently. And that's how that time matrix comes. So Stephen Conway's matrix divided us into 4 quadrants, which were like urgent, not urgent, important, and not important. So being, if you're in quadrant 1, brings in stress, burnouts, crisis, and it really affects us. Quadrant 3 means short-term focus, crisis management, and low value on goals. And if you are a quadrant 2 person, then maybe you have a little amount of balance, focus, flexibility. So once you understand the quadrants where we fall on, it's important to know the time-saving techniques. So let's delegate our job and not be like, I have to do everything myself, and analyze what needs to be done. As doctors, we are also now parents, and that's also so important. We have a lot of pressure on us on balancing family with work commitments. And that's where it's so important to do those small things with your family. A meal together every day, fun together once a week, holiday together once every year. So you asked me about how do I get it done? Well, an important question, and let's say I've been asked this a lot. I always get questions from my friends around me, and believe me, I really don't have an answer. They'll ask me, don't you feel the guilt of not being around children? How do you actually cope up? How do you strike that balance between your professional and personal life? So when I say, what do I do? So I'm a gynecologist and an IVF specialist. I also now have started doing full-time obstetrics. I'm a mother of two, a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. I run an NGO. I'm also the vice president Agra district, which is of IHRO, which is for human rights, and the chairperson of the Young Talent Promotion Committee of FOXY. What actually has worked for me? Well, when they say it's the support of friends and family where I've been able to have that balance in my life. Also, it's very important that people around you are adjusting and non-complaining. And that actually depends a lot on your attitude towards them. Being grateful and being thankful is something which we as working women, working doctors, or multitaskers should always do. And we actually have to prioritize our things. So let's find a system which works for all of us. So being able to get a lot of done requires extreme amount of organization. And that's something which is important for us to get ourselves organized. You will never actually get anything done properly or any multitasking done if you're not organized. So first important thing which I actually do is I make to-do list. I have list everywhere in my bathroom, on my phone, and that actually really helps me. Second, we need to update ourselves electronically because that's the era which we are in now, and that's what will help us in our task management. Whether you want to do more than one thing at a time is entirely up to you. Like sometimes in between work, you might want to return emails. Sometimes in between webinars, I reply to my emails, I reply to my WhatsApp. It actually depends on where you want to concentrate on. And sometimes even when we are playing with our kids or when we are out, we can actually think of ideas in our minds for our next amount of work. It's so important to be proactive, get ahead to stay ahead. Track your time. Time tracking is something which will measure your productivity. It's so important to complete some actions ASAP because once they start piling up, they'll start irritating you and they'll start increasing that stress level. So some important things which don't need to pile up are your emails and your messages, because sometimes you actually forget them, or you also forget what I needed to reply to that person. Do things when you have time. Free up your time when you need it the most. So what do? Is I work from 10 to 6 and I tend to finish my work at around 6 and give a few hours to my family, my kids, and maybe also a few 15 to 20 minutes every day to a little bit about of exercise and maybe also going for a drive. And that really helps me recharge my battery. Very important thing is love what you do. So work where you're most productive. So it's so important to love your work, to understand it, and to work better, to give better. Utilize your networks. So if you have friends on social networking, Ask a friend to manage your blogs. It will really help. Ask some family to manage your accounts. If you have people who are very good on electronically or on the laptop, ask them to pep up your PowerPoint presentations. Stay focused. So now you've scheduled your entire day. Give breaks so that you have some amount of extra time in your hand. So if you have a meeting at 10 o'clock, let's say you give a time from 9:30 so that you have that extra half an hour and you don't get stressed if you're getting late. Take breaks. That's very, very important. So each day schedule some time off for yourself to keep yourself happy. And one thing which I always tell everyone is do everything with a little bit of kindness, because that's something which really makes us more pleasant. And of course, your diet is very important. So eat smart to stay smart. In the end, I always say plan ahead. So always know what's on your calendar for the next week and start planning accordingly. I have started understanding the balance, especially during this COVID times, and also understood how to recharge myself. So I inculcated a little bit of hobby, as you all know, as a little bit painting, and that really helped me maintaining my focus. And it also gave me a lot of time to understand myself. So when I say how to get a lot of dash done, it is get organized, stay organized, multitask, track your time, complete actionable items as soon as possible, work where you're productive, ask for help, stay focused, take breaks, eat well, and plan ahead. And that's so important. Love yourself. So in the end, I say, enjoy being a doctor. Focus on the sunny side of it. Effective time management is the key to work-life balance. Work short of causing burnout and know when to stop or retire. Enjoy as a comprehensive human being with Physician Incorporated. And as I say, I also would like to end by saying thank you to all of you who have inspired me to go places where I would have never reached. Now I believe that it's so important to have hard work and dedication in everything which we do. So I always say, don't feel like you always have to say yes. Sometimes we also can say no when we have a lot already on our plate. So it's so important to understand the balance between no and yes. Thank you, everyone, and love you.